So it did occur to me that the biggest problem with this deck, as far as I can tell, is that it's playing 0 copies of Escape to the Wilds. So at some point we might have to try to brew up a deck that fixes that and plays 4 copies of Escape to the Wilds. Because I do miss casting that card a lot. Snoopless, thanks for the follow. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Alright, no ramp spells, but we got an Unholy Heat, and we technically have a Jwari Disruption, so that's kind of like having a curve. You know what? Suddenly, playing Unholy Heat Bonecrusher, or Unholy Heat Stomp Bonecrusher, that actually feels like a real plan against a deck that wants to play Blazing Rootwalla. Pass to blockers. You want to pay 1 mana opponent? No? Okay. Well, I tried. Discovers basically Escape without the icky green sources. Yeah, but like... it costs 6 mana instead of 5. That's kind of more mana, you know? Ew. Alright, Magmatic Channeler plus Fiery Temper scares me. Is this until this turn? So they didn't get the Fiery Temper value. Okay. I feel like I'm probably supposed to Jwari Disruption Seasoned Pyromancer rather than Stomp it, but maybe that's wrong. Maybe it was wrong. Yeah, I didn't want them getting 1/1s. I'm losing a little bit of value here. Probably should have cared more about land drops when I've got a 6-drop in hand. To be fair. Wow, discarding Womack Courier. Alright. No, Seasoned Pyromancer. Draw 2. Very well. And we need to just draw lands. Unholy Heat, not Stellar. We're also very far away from Delirium, so we're not killing that Channeler anytime soon. The idea that I'm actually trying to race a mono red deck right now seems sort of absurd, but here we are. I don't have a better plan. Yeah, it had an ETB effect. When it enters the battlefield, they discard 2 cards and then draw 2 cards. And they make a 1/1 for each non-land discarded that way. No, my Bonecrusher! I'm getting repeatedly 2-for-1'd. I can't actually have that go on forever. But I do at least get to kill Womack Courier before it's a problem. Hey, Fabled Passage. Lovely. Is this a last effort with pre-nerf horror, or do you expect this to play post-nerf? I don't expect the nerf to horror to be significant here. Wow, they're just all the Fiery Tempers, huh? Yeah, I can't do much about that Channeler. It's gonna punch me in the face for a lot here. Kind of getting out-controlled by mono red. Not cracking Fabled Passage because I do want to draw lands right now, I think. If I do draw another land, I guess I'm animating Den and swinging. Jeez, no I'm not. Oh, I'm so dead. No. I regret that Jwari Disruption from earlier, to be entirely honest. I can't really handle 4/4s, huh? Nope, I'm just dead. They have Ramanap Ruins. Okay, I think I want Chandra. I think I want Flameblessed Bolt. I probably want Aether Gusts. I probably don't want Brazen Borrower. I'm probably not super into Hullbreaker Horror. Or, as a result, Unexpected Windfall. I'm sort of wondering if I'm supposed to play Narset here. Maybe. I don't think that's an embarrassing set of cards to bring in. Would it even matter? You'd be on 5 land, which was not enough to play anything in your hand. Yeah. It wouldn't, necessarily. Okay. Well, this is a hand, I guess. I think I'll lead on Jwari Ruins, although that's not very good with Unholy Heat. Okay, Dragon's Rage Channeler is not the scariest thing in the world. We hit our 4th land, so we can play Key, discarding Key. Cereal Powder, thank you for the follow. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Faithless Looting. Alright. Opponent throwing away some cards this time suits me just fine. Couldn't we play something better than Bonecrusher? Like, something I don't know that maybe exists. I don't know. Bonecrusher wasn't the embarrassing card last game, I don't think. Like, it was frequently a 2-for-1. The problem was the opponent had way more 2-for-1s. Like, opponent's deck looks aggressive, but in reality, it's for each red in that spell's mana cost, and not what was actually used to cast it. Interesting. But opponent's deck is actually, like, extremely efficient at card advantage currently. Yowzas. Do you play Modern and all? Team of Wreck is on the rise and it's better than ever. I do not, but that doesn't surprise me because that's always been the best deck in Modern. I just, for some reason, people don't play it. I assume people don't know how to build Reclamation decks, essentially. At no point in the history of that format having Reclamation be legal did I believe there was any possibility Rec wasn't the best deck. So much damage, opponent. Incredibly rude. I'm not even going to have time to play Key because my interaction early on here isn't satisfactory. I feel like my mana curve might not be low enough for Expressive Iteration to actually be great. Instant sorcery land. So I don't even have Delirium to kill the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Yowzas. Alright, at least we're burning through our deck, I guess. Have I asked you about your thoughts on 3 Fairy being rebalanced? Will be played again or not good enough anymore? I assume that at 4 mana, no, not even close to playable. Teferi's play typically had more to do with what it was shutting off than what it was enabling, in my experience. I think we'll get rid of Channeler here. And I don't see at 4 mana Teferi being capable of shutting off enough decks to be, like, particularly playable. I think I want deck thin. I think I want to play Key. I'm really tempted to discard Key to Key so that Unholy Heat has Delirium, but maybe that doesn't matter. Bonecrusher. Yep. 2 Phoenixes. He is concerning. Electrolyze. But that doesn't actually kill anything right now. Not meaningfully. I guess I could Unholy Heat the Blazing Root Wallet and then have Doomblade for the Dragon's Rage Channeler, technically. Phoenixes come back as 3/3s, so that also doesn't get answered by Electrolyze. Alright, Doomblade it is, I guess. I guess the good news is now we actually get to turn the other key into card advantage too. That brings back a Phoenix. Oh, it doesn't have haste? Well, that's at least nice. I guess I would like an Anger of the Gods, huh? Maybe that should be in the sideboard? Doesn't feel synergistic with Bonecrusher, but maybe that doesn't matter. Spirebluff Canal is at least something to get rid of. Unfortunately, I don't actually think we have, like, things that we're doing that try to win the game currently. And so we're just getting absolutely buried in opponent's card advantage. I don't even know if I have real top decks at the moment. Like, I guess I could top deck Horror. Is that good enough right now? Probably not. I guess I had to top deck Horror that turn, and maybe that was something. Yeah. Still just kind of infinity card advantage over there. Alright. Well, what are we doing with all this mana? I guess I could top deck Discover the... Oh. Huh. Okay. No, Jwari Disruption is not very good. 6, 9... Yeah, it's still kind of like infinity stuff going on. So that's 7 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana. So 6 and 6. Alright, we hold the Jwari Disruption. I doubt it matters, but maybe it matters. Oh, it's a tap land. They can't animate Den. I still hope I'm not dead on board. 6, 9, 13. Oh, I'm dead on board. Oh, I'm super dead on board. Alright, bummer. We had the out of doing Discover the Formula into Approach. Alas. So hopefully this time we wind up playing against something Brazen Borrower feels replaceable. I do agree with that. I don't like Brazen Borrower, but I don't know what to do instead of it. Looks like we struggled not to be pummeled in the early game. It did appear like that, but I think that that wasn't actually the problem so much as that we did manage to kind of recover that tempo. Well, that's not a keep. I think that the early game wasn't quite as much of a problem as that we did sort of recover the tempo from the early game and then lost on card advantage. Okay, so our opponent's on Grixis, apparently. Maybe. But I'm happy to Jwari Disruption a Stonecoil Serpent, I suppose. Okay, super happy to take a Windfall here. That's excellent. And a land drop. That's Expressive Iteration actually doing its job. Okay, so playing Hullbreaker Horror is functional. I'm not even going to bother Flame Blessed bolting this Solemn Simulacrum because I just want to have cards in hand post-horror. I guess Windfall kind of helps with that, but you never know. I don't want to risk it. More Simulacrums. Very well, opponent. This is allowed. Mono black? Splashing... That's a basic swamp and not a snow-covered swamp. I have my suspicions about this match and possibly being not terribly representative. We shall see. Ugin the Ineffable. Sure. Opponent's got 2 mana, meaning if they remove our Hullbreaker Horror, we're in a lot of trouble. Given that they're not actually threatening us, I think I just Windfall here and try to get more mana to hold up with Horror so that Horror isn't in danger of dying. I think that's like our one plan. But if our plan is to actually just not do anything until turn 6, we're probably not playing a good deck. Creatures and planeswalker spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. Tezzeret deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of artifacts you control. You gain X life. Currently they control 2 artifacts. Okay. Alright, so blue-black artifact, colorless planeswalker affinity? That's kind of an interesting idea. Alright, I would like to play Horror. I would like to probably block Solemn Simulacrum, and then Flame Blessed Bolt the Solemn Simulacrum, and then return Ugin to their hand. And then they may draw a card, but they have no more artifacts, so the affinity isn't really relevant. Okay, and then we get to remove both of the cards they have in play. They do draw a bunch of cards. That does make me sort of sad. Then we kill the Tezzeret. Okay. We do still need to... that's 1 mana less than I'm willing to tap out, unfortunately. We do still need to draw more cards. I forgot how much Divide by Zero really does make it so you have more cards in hand for Hullbreaker Horror. Turns out it's hard to get to 7 mana while having cards at all. I think we will allow the opponent to continue. Actually, we're going to announce that using Bonecrusher Giant, probably, so that we can actually Bonecrusher Giant at sorcery speed. Oh, no. Return to Ugin. Chris, have you played Pioneer? Is it something you'd want to see come to Arena? No, I have never played Pioneer. Why was that? I think Arena had already come out when Pioneer became a thing, and it was entirely an MTGO format. And MTGO just isn't as good to watch. So I was pretty much, oh, that's got Chris Death Touch. I wasn't paying attention. I should have done 7 more damage here. Whoops. So I wasn't... wasn't interested in playing Pioneer because it didn't stream well, essentially. Ulamog. Wow, okay. That's a actually, it's surprisingly, very strangely, they went for my treasure here instead of my land, so that's cool. Somehow that's not a problem at all, because I get to counter it and just bounce my Horror. So like somehow with the Jwari Disruption, I just completely countered the entirety of an Ulamog, including the triggers. We live in a really weird world. Huh. Karn, Scion of Urza. Okay. It resolves. Should I let it resolve? Probably not. Okay. I'm gonna Hullbreaker Horror. And I'm gonna Unholy Heat the Karn. And I'm gonna bounce the Ugin. That is possibly the best Jwari Disruption ever cast. That is very true. Retrieve socks. He is outside, so I'll go grab him between games. Alright, let's play Bonecrusher. And bounce the token. And play an Expressive Iteration. And bounce the Karn. And take an Expressive Iteration. And grab a land that thins the deck. And play the land. And go to combat and swing for 7. The fact that this game is still actually, like, very hard to close is probably a horrifyingly bad sign. I would wager that means I have completely misbuilt this list. Again, the ineffable. Oh no. I think I actually let that resolve at this point, because if it downticks on horror, then I get to stomp to kill it and bounce the horror. Opponent has gained an incredibly large amount of life. That is completely true. Alright, last basic finally out of the deck. Horror back to hand. Steel Overseer. Okay. Vigilance this time around on the Crystalline Giant. I currently have no instance to save this Hullbreaker Horror, but I think I'm just going to have to live with that. I think I probably want to give the Steel Overseer Summoning Sickness. Okay, Brazen Borrower is 2 instants. But Fabled Passage is actually useless? I could put Horror in hand and then exile Brazen Borrower for the turn. Oh, we could bounce our own Bonecrusher Giant with Hullbreaker Horror. That's kind of a neat synergy with these Brazen Borrowers too, isn't it? Huh. Well, I think that means that I just don't care about the horror. I know that looks weird, but I don't have basics left in the deck. Okay, opponent, what you got for me? Oh, right, this is the Dominaria Karn, not the tutor a win condition from the sideboard Karn. I was wondering why that wasn't that scary. More Solemn Simulacrums. That's what, first strike? First strike not terribly important. Alright, let's bounce a Construct token and bounce a Crystalline Giant. Let's go to combat and swing at our opponent's face. Opponent can draw a card. Yup. Alright, so here's the plan. Hullbreaker Horror. Bounce Bonecrusher Giant to hand. Folks, we have a loop. This is definitely the card advantage engine that this deck needed. Yeah. Alright, that explains the interplanar beacons, I guess. Very well, opponent. You have a Forsaken Monument. I don't know if I care. I think it would be pretty rare for Hullbreaker Horror to be better than Time Walks. The trouble is, I don't know if the Teamer deck really has any game without Time Walks making chump block birds. But maybe. Wouldn't be impossible. I should have bounced that before it got hexproof, and of course it got hexproof, as I was saying that sentence. Is Key better in Historic, or have you come around to it? Key, I don't think it's better, but it is a 4-drop that ramps into Horror, so I'm, like, interested in it being cute. That has to be a punt? Nah, we're just going to ignore the Crystalline Giant and kill him. I'm sure it's fine. Okay, and we get to stomp the Steel Overseer, and bounce the Steel Overseer, and bounce the Solemn Simulacrum. And then we go to combat, and then we attack the opponent's face. And then we play this Bonecrusher Giant. And we bounce our Brazen Borrower. And we bounce the Karn. Alright, this loop is amusing. Wait, do I have lethal? Wait. I don't think I had... I might have had lethal. I legitimately can't tell. I don't think I have enough mana for lethal. Oh yeah, activating Den, definitely super lethal, but no, I mean like looping Bonecrusher Giants to do 8 damage to the face by casting 4 stomps. That's the lethal I want to. Coming around on banning Horror? Nothing about this game is like impressive for Horror. We did nothing until like turn 6. The only reason that Horror is doing anything is because an opponent's given us time to make 12 land drops. It's not Horror being good. That's the game being at turn 12. Oh no, Nugan. I'm gonna just like play a Brazen Borrower, I guess, because I don't have anything I can bounce. Return target spell. Return target Bonecrusher. I don't think my opponent's going to kill me with Crystalline Giant here. Bloop. Return Ugin. Return Brazen Borrower. This is delightful. Alright, we're gonna play Brazen Borrower. We're gonna be done, we're gonna be done, we're gonna be done. We're gonna go to my turn. I guess we can just attack with everything, probably. Oh, that's so stupid. I love it. Don't we have enough just looping Bonecrushers? Nah, because I think I need like 25 mana to deal lethal with Bonecrushers there, if my understanding of the math is correct. But that was delightful. Okay, what are we doing here? I have absolutely no idea. I guess probably play Chandra? I don't know. And like probably cut Flame Blast Bolt? I don't know. I'll be right back. You know, I'm starting to get indignant meows when I pick him up from his spot in front of the fireplace. And I feel like I'm going to blame all of you. Because blaming myself isn't really my style. Now, the only thing I would blame Socks for is me sneezing. Does he like heated pads? I don't know. We don't have any heated pads, but we do have a little blanket set out in front of the fireplace. Yep, that's a tail. You seem relatively accepting of the current situation, Socks. Alright, waiting for the opponent. What are you meowing about? I'm scratching you. What more do you want? Dork. Now, if we're interested in making the computer make more heat, I could just render a bunch of videos while I'm streaming. I'm sure that'd do something. Probably nothing positive. Bloop. Okay. Bye, kitty. Well, maybe we have a chance this time around. Okay. Well, that was exciting. Alright, happily to take the play. This hand is technically functional. It does include a 2-drop, and a 3-drop, and then possibly a 4-drop even. Oh, Fanatical Firebrand is technically a card that dies to Bonecrusher Giant. That might be a good sign. Okay, one Firebrand down. Opponent is on black-red monkey aggro? Interesting. Oh, is that a goblin? Oh, it's a goblin. Interesting. Okay, opponent. Color me intrigued in what kind of goblin aggro is going on. Black-red goblin aggro. Do you really want to pay 2 mana to... Oh? No? Oh, okay. Chain Whirler. Yeah, that is a card you could play. That's true. That's true. Okay, Fabled Passage. Help with Delirium. Play an island, I guess. Play key. We have creature, land. Lightning Bolt seems good. What do we get rid of? Probably the land. Alright, I actually have, like, card advantage right now. What about Prismari Command instead of Brazen? Part of the thing I like about Brazen is that it is 2 spells for horror, but I don't love Prismari Command in the sense that it doesn't really ramp into anything super meaningful in this deck, because all of our stuff is like on 4 and 6 and 7, and Prismari Command ramps to, oh, that's cute. Okay, so you have Call of the Death Dweller to get back Chain Whirler and Firebrand with Death Touch. Okay. Yeah, that's a functional plan. I ain't gonna knock it. That's totally functional. So I want to Lightning Bolt the Chain Whirler, and I probably want to Stomp the Battlecry Goblin. And I guess I probably want to Unholy Heat the Firebrand. Well, alright. Guess I just Expressive Iteration then. Take a Bonecrusher. My current problem with this hand is that I don't know that I'm really going to get an opportunity to cast the Expressive Windfall anytime soon. I don't want to play Bonecrusher out here, because I definitely want to Lightning Bolt the Chain Whirler, so I guess I pass? Does ramp you can both deal with a permanent and dig for an instant? Yeah, it does do that. I'm a little concerned about the percentage of time where we play out Hullbreaker Horror and then are then pseudo-functionally empty-handed, or at least very close to empty-handed, and the looting with Prismari Command isn't great in that sort of a situation. So is the opponent on a Mythic or Muxus deck, do we think? Can I do anything about that if they are? Phyrexian Tower would seem to imply that. So they can Phyrexian Tower to fizzle Bonecrusher Giant here, but then they lose the mana because it's in combat. I don't know if that's relevant, but... Okay, yes, they are, because they're playing Prospector. Good to know. That answers that question. Okay, that's a lot of lands. I should probably hold on to lands, because I do have Key and Windfall, but probably not all these lands. Okay, Firebrand. Shock. Munitions Expert. Okay. Well, luckily Unholy Heat answers that. Munitions Expert is also probably a really cool card to get back with Call of the Death Dweller. I like the opponent's sort of mid-range version of goblins that they're building here. Not really mid-range in any real sense, but... Alright, so they killed the Bonecrusher. Are left with a 1/1. But, like, this has a lot of answers to creatures. That's kind of neat. Okay, well, I have an answer to Munitions Expert, I guess. Feel like I kind of just die when the opponent top decks a card advantage engine, though. Really surprised you don't like Legacy more? The problem with Legacy is that, like, I don't know if there's any support for it. I can't afford to play it in paper. I don't want to play on MTGO. And I guess that doesn't leave me with much. Discovered Formula seems like a good top deck. Ooh, multiple Hullbreaker Horrors. Alright, we're playing the lands now. Alright, as long as the opponent doesn't Muxus us this turn, I think we're fine. Wow, I didn't even jinx it. Radical. I think I probably should Unholy Heat that down to the Bugbear. And look at this. The Brazen Borrower only costs 2 mana? It's like Infinity Blue sources, but only 2 of them. Alright, now we hold on to the lands for Unexpected Windfall again, I think. So 3, 6... Yeah, I'm willing to play Horror, because we can just hard cast Brazen Bar. Oh, we're done? Cool. Hey, we beat goblins! Does that say, like, anything positive? I don't know. I legitimately don't know. Okay, I want Chandra, I want Aether Gusts. I don't think I want this many Windfalls. I probably don't want this many Borrowers. Do I want Flameblessed Bolt? Yeah, because they have the 2-mana Goblin that's like Infinity card advantage. Okay, so we also cut more Windfalls then. And a Horror, I guess, because we cut so many windfalls. I feel like if we're always aborting these out, it's a pretty strong sign that the deck doesn't... like, the core concept of the deck isn't actually functioning. We're just boarding into an Expressive Iteration bad mid-range list. Hey, we could probably beat an Enchantress deck with this deck, though. They might not actually have great answers to Hullbreaker Horror. Kinda missed the era where Goblins was powerful? I don't know if the play pattern of Goblins was something that I think is fundamentally super enjoyable. But hey, we got 2 Flame Blast Bolts. That seems like a start. We can kill at least 2 conspicuous Snoops, maybe even 3. And that was the card I was afraid of all of last game. Battlecry Goblin, alright, happy to Flame Blast Bolt that. They can't even bring that back with Call of the Death Dweller. Radical. Okay. Oh, alright. Put a missing land drops is probably a good thing. Playing Phyrexian Tower on 2 probably, like, implied that, but I wasn't really paying attention. Expressive Iteration having a 1-turn window to hit Spirebluff Canal is at least sort of cool. Spirebluff Canal isn't always a tap land when you hit it off Expressive Iteration. Hey, land drop. Radical. Okay. I think I'm playing 1 Jwari Disruption so that I'm guaranteed to have 6 lands to hit Discover the Formula on 6. I don't think there's a very strong chance that I want to cast 2 Jwari Disruptions. I say that and then remember my opponent's deck probably plays Mux. No, hold on. We've seen no haste goblins out of them. Maybe they're actually not playing Muxus. Okay, Chandra, yeah. Fabled Passage is a land, but I don't have any creatures in the yard. But they are indeed actually playing Snoop. Legion War Boss, not really what I meant when I said haste goblins, but okay. I'm going to take that as like 100% confirmation, though, that they are not playing Muxus. I don't think you ever have room to play Legion War Boss if your plan is to Muxus. Why would you play Goblins and not Muxus? I mean, opponent does have, like, a functional mid-range shell with Call of the Death Dweller and Chain Whirler and just, like, a lot of grindy toolbox card advantage creatures. Sack outlets are probably just to get rid of Chain Whirler. That might actually be true, huh? They might also be laying like 1 or 2 Muxus to just be happy with that. But yeah, playing Chandra certainly indicates that they're not super concerned about the number of goblin hits they have in their deck, which might be telling. Yeah, it's a war boss. So I could Unholy Heat the war boss, or I could discover the formula. Which would we prefer to do, huh? We can trade our goblin with one of their goblins. We feelin' so inclined. Ikorek, thanks for the follow. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Chris, what do you intend to play tomorrow? No clue. Might play Teamer Adventures. Haven't really thought about it yet. Kinda just playing day by day at the moment. In Standard? I wasn't planning on playing Standard. I think the next qualifier weekend is Historic, so I assume that's the content that most people will want to watch. So I think that's what I'm going to be streaming for the next week or two. I guess they might be considering Phyrexian. Yeah, they are Phyrexian Tower sacking their creature, huh? Now, what is that for? For a Chandra. Except... Okay, then they uptick Chandra and play some 3-drop, I guess? Okay. More War Bosses? Is that the plan here? More War Boss Eye is the plan. Alright, well... That's fine. I just want to resolve Discover the Formula. Opponent can have their goblins. At the end of the day, they're still only attacking with 4 power that I... Oh, cool. Alright. Opponent holds back Legion Warboss. That's super okay with me. I was just going to take 4 damage. I didn't really have a thing I was going to do about it. But this works. Alright. Well, I could Horror here. Opponent doesn't have anything in their graveyard right now that actually, like, punishes that. Yeah, I think having Horror with Jwari Disruption Stomp backup is fine. Don't understand how you resist the temptation to Force Spike the opponent. I can't ever not Force Spike them on their first main phase. So the secret to that is, why would I Force Spike them when I can play Jwari Disruption as a land in 3 turns and not miss my 3rd land drop from now? Alright, a Prospector. Mass Goblins. Yep, opponent's got Goblins. Opponent's gonna have a lot of Goblins after the Legion War boss has something to say, but Horror plus a ton of cards in hand, I think should recover from that as long as the Horror doesn't die. So we're just really on board for plan, don't let Horror die. Why did we main phase the Horror? Because I didn't want the opponent to be able to respond to Horror. I forget why I thought that mattered, but I did believe that mattered. Whenever Pashless Mons or another goblin he controls dies. Okay, so that's why the Skirk Prospector sack outlets. Got it. Okay, let's stomp Pashlik. Bounce Warboss. Oh, yeah, also did this card. Yeah, we had a bunch of cards in hand. That makes sense. Should goblins get a counterspell goblin? Like a blue-red goblin that counters things? Maybe. Is Overcharged Amalgam actually a goblin card? They think they can kill this Hullbreaker Horror, huh? Interesting. Interesting if true. That does kill the Horror. You are accurate, opponent. I think it even leaves the Pashless Mons in play. Firebrand is 2. Yeah. Alright, you killed it, opponent. Yeah, so that pings the Horror. Firebrand pings the Horror. Horror dies even if I don't block in that scenario, so I might as well remove the creature that I care more about. Okay, Expressive Iteration. I'd like to hit a removal spell for Pashlik so that I can Unholy Heat the Chandra instead. Okay. Is Chandra good here? Probably not this turn. You don't really do anything if I remove you here. So let's start with Aether Gust on the Pashlik. You keep that on top. Okay. Key to the Archive, because I'm not going to be able to Jwari Disruption anything anyway. I would probably like a Time Warp plus a Chandra. Yes, that sounds cool. Then we Unholy Heat the Chandra. Okay. Well, new plan, team. We're here to Ultimate Chandra. Is that possible? Probably not. But it is a plan. So we... Actually, I can Expressive Iteration and then Chandra and then Time Warp. Yep, I can do that. The sequencing flies. Can I also Aether Gust or no? I'm definitely putting Discover the Formula in hand. Chandra, land, Time Walk, Aether Gust? Yes, I believe I can. Super yes. And that actually means I get rid of the Pashlik before my Chandra is on board to be pinged. Okay, I think we're actually winning the game now. Or at least, like, actively pulling ahead. And we didn't even need giant lobsters to do it. Oh, cool. Wow. I'm sort of surprised that worked. Huh. Ooh. This hand does nothing. That's kind of concerning. The biggest problem for Lobster in Alchemy anyway is the Leer nerf. I feel like the biggest problem for Lobster in general is that I'm not entirely convinced that Lobster is like actually particularly good, despite the complaints of many people who seem to only want to play mono green. It is the only reason that I can imagine so many people are like so terrified of a card that takes a lot of mana to do anything. But I'm the kind of person who sits on the fence and goes, why do people complain about Discover the Formula? You let the opponent play a card that costs 6 mana. Shouldn't you have lost the game? Doesn't that make sense? So, maybe I've got different perspective. Sand's so garbage. I'll keep. We'll draw, like, nothing but low-cost interaction, I'm sure. Ooh, Tenacious Pup. Alright. Expressive Iteration. Kind of like the opposite of what I was hoping for, but okay, okay. Blue-green. Okay, opponent, that's actually really sick and very cool. Kudos. I'm impressed. Also, none of my removal hits that, so this is a problem. I'm just desperately looking for a bounce spell that I don't have the mana to cast anyway. Alright, well... okay. Layer into Botanical Sanctum into a Johnny. I'm not winning this game, but here we are. I can't really do anything here. Well, how close can I get to Unholy Heat being active? I could like discard Key to the Archive and nearly be there, but I feel like I kind of gotta play Key to the Archive to have any chance in this game, so I guess I'm only discarding a land. Key to the Archive plus stalling for turns with Fade and Divide make the Lobster viable? I don't actually know if it did, though. The problem with Key to the Archive Lobster decks was already that your matchup against aggro is bad, and they, like, double nerfed the ability for blue-red to play against aggro, which I don't actually think was, like, needed at all. But I guess it's not that they nerfed Izzet, they nerfed Esper was the intention. Oh, goodness, 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 goodness. What am I to do? How do we avoid dying? I don't really think we can. Gonna discard Key to the Archive so that I have Delirium active, and hopefully... Alright, well, that actually succeeded, surprisingly. Because we did draw the removal spell for Growth Chamber Guardian, and I do get to Unholy Heat the Incubation Druid now. Are you telling me you're main decking Snakeskin Veil, opponent? Yowzas. Dramoka's command. The 3-color aggro lives. We are mostly dead, that is true, but only if the opponent realizes they have a layer of the Hydra in play. As long as they miss that, we can potentially untap and then die next turn instead. Also, Ajani probably has like an ultimate or something. Ah, dang, they didn't miss it. Okay, well, that went extremely badly. I'm gonna board into a bunch of Aether Gusts. That seems probably like a good idea. And then a bunch of Chandras. And then I guess I'm making these same cuts again. I'm not totally convinced Flameless Bolt is good against them, but I guess I'm not convinced it's bad either. It's actually probably quite good. Okay. Plan turn into Izzet removal plus card advantage. It seems to be the way we win most games that we actually win. That's the plan again, I think. Alright, take the play. It's got Flame Bless Bolt. That's an improvement. Now we still need to not get pupped into Incubation Druid, because that still doesn't die to Bolt. But as long as they don't have exactly that... Hey, they didn't. No pup this time around. Baja Pigeon, thanks for the follow. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Did we beat 2 Torture Defiance emblems at one point? How did that happen? I really want to take this Chandra, but I really probably need to take the Flame Blessed Bolt. That's disappointing. Oh, right, we were playing a fog deck that could fog Chandra emblems at one point. Ah, that was good times. I'm not disagreeing that this deck should be called highly questionable. I'm just saying that we've already used that deck name, and we gotta be sparing about reusing things, lest it get confusing. Yeah, I'll just key here. What's the opponent gonna do? Be main decking Artifact Destruction? Well, sideboarding Artifact Opponent! You're on 3-color aggro Mystical Dispute? I was expecting Artifact Destruction, not counter spells. The Key to the Archive is a good draw, though. Okay, I'll take a Time Warp, I guess. We can get rid of a Lobster. As we deduced earlier, it's very important to keep your Lobsters separated. It's for the Lobsters' own good. Otherwise, they'll, like, claw each other in buckets and stuff. You know. All that old song and dance. I think I'm just taking land here. I think I have enough cards. I guess I'm probably Time Warping too, aren't I? No, because my opponent's super playing a counterspell right now. I'm wise to your tricks, counterspell opponent. You're not going to counterspell my Time Warp today. Was that an Aquabats reference? Not intentionally. Although I do think I had a coworker who played their songs at work before. But unless I heard them over the work... well, you know what? Okay. I don't think I've ever consciously listened to them. Should I Unholy Heat Hydroid Crisis here? Yeah, probably. Because I think I'm just going to Sorcery Speed Discover the Formula on my turn. My urge to deck thin before casting Discover the Formula, probably not actually, like, useful, because that's not how Discover the Formula works, but yeah, whatever, here we are. They have a song about lobsters. Oh, alright. I've actually forgotten. Is the saying about lobsters in buckets actually about lobsters, or is it about crabs? We don't want to bolt the other Graces? We do, but I got, like, infinity removal spells, so I think I can wait. I'm assuming my opponent's going to uptick here, and then I stomp in response. Auto-tapper, conveniently showing off I got a Jwari Disruption. Love it. Okay, Chandra. Uptick. Make mana. Shock land. Play Bonecrusher, cast Time Warp, Unholy Heat, be a Johnny. We're off to the races. Uptick, exile a card from the top of our deck, do damage to the opponent, attack with Bonecrusher, have a bunch of mana, Hullbreaker Horror. Woo! Thought Chandra and Ajani were friends. Well, I do think... Did we kill the Ajani before we played the Chandra? In which case, like, don't gotta worry about it then. Adonis Climb? Oh yeah, this card used to be so fun in Standard. I played a Sultai Adonis Climb list. Played a bunch of stuff that got counters and a bunch of stuff that was hexproof, and then you put a bunch of counters on it with Adonis Climb, and then eventually you transformed it and doubled the power with the backside of Adonis Climb. Was the first deck I ever 5-0'd an MTGO league with. Only took me like 2 years. I do still find it very amusing that I top 8 at a Grand Prix before I ever 5-0'd a league on MTGO. Or won an FNM. Jamoka's command. Opponent, I don't have any enchantments. But, okay. I'm gonna... Ooh! Look at what I get to do. This is fun. I can Jwari Disruption to counter the Jamoka's command. Yeah, it'll auto-tap correct. Jwari Disruption, counter Jamoka's command, returning... Oh, I can't return my own Flameblast Bolt to hand? No! I didn't know that was how Hullbreaker Horror worked. I thought I could bounce my own spells. That would be so fun. Why did they have to patch that very obviously broken interaction that I'd never considered before? Alright. I hear a cat who wants back in. Yeah? You're in one of those moods where you really want to be in the room on your own terms, huh? Well, that is Flameblast Bolt and 2 Aether Gusts, so we're gonna just hope the rest of it comes together on its own. Hallowed Fountain. Okay. Not green. Incubation Druid. Dies to Flameblast Bolt. Okay. Well, a good start. Drew a land. That's important. Biomast. Thanks for the follow. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Oh, they don't want the Llanowar Elf. How surprising. Don't Ajani me, opponent. Don't Ajani me, opponent. I can't Aether Gust an Ajani. I don't want to Aether Gust a Hydroid Krasis. How rude. Okay, well, this is what they invented Chandra for. We Chandra. We downtick. The Hydroid Krasis dies. Everybody's happy. Opponent drew a card. I got a Planeswalker. Nobody's sad. Oh, a Johnny can downtick to get back Hydroid Krasis. They don't choose to do that. How surprising. Huh, okay. So do we discover the formula here and hold up Aether Gust? Or do we just horror? I'm probably supposed to discover the formula holding up Aether Gust. That's probably the good line. No! I forgot how my opponent's deck works. They showed us they were playing counterspells. I guess... Oh. Very soon we live in a world where Mystical Dispute counters Hullbreaker Horror, huh? How to feel about that? Alright, land drop first, then uptick Chandra for potential card advantage. Oh, discover the formula off of a Chandra? Now we're living the dream. Oh, it even resolves? Wow, that's even better. I wonder if I'm the first person to do that. Probably not, but I might be. I don't want my opponent to ultimate a Johnny. That would be bad for me. Okay, so we Hullbreaker Horror. and see if that resolves. Okay. And then we Unholy Heat the Ajani, and then we bounce the Ajani. And then we pass, and we've got an Aether Gust up on 1 mana. Okay. Well, I guess. Do I let this happen? I could Aether Gust my own Chandra to stop the Declaration in Stone from hitting Hullbreaker Horror. I don't think I'm supposed to. So, sorry, Lobster. You did do your job. We appreciate it. Yeah, getting Horror disputed does kind of suck. That's true. But who's going to play Mystical Dispute in a world where Leer doesn't exist? Surely no one would do such a thing. Alright, I should probably just uptick Chandra for mana and then cast Discover the Formula. I think that's the world we live in. Oh hey, cool, a Hullbreaker Horror. Well, I'm going to play this Key to the Archive. And I guess I'll take this counter spell. I don't really want the counter spell, but I guess I'll take it. I'll get rid of Key to the Archive. And we'll play Key to the Archive. I guess I'll get a Growth Spiral and get rid of this counter spell I don't even really want. Okay. I don't know how bad the opponent could hurt me here, but I got Hullbreaker Horror, so we'll see. Shaper Sanctuary? Wait. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls. Okay, so I just bounced the Shaper Sanctuary before bouncing any of my opponent's creatures. I can live with that. Land drop. Activate Fabled Passage. Hope I've got a land in the deck. I think I have 1 island. I do have 1 island. Stellar. Alright, no more lands. Important to remember. Uptick Chandra for mana. Play Key to the Archive. Does that Ajani have an ultimate? Yes, it does. Ultimate at 7. I guess I'll take Counterspell. Do I? Maybe. Eh. The ultimate is that it makes 3 1/1 cats with lifelink at the beginning of each of their end steps. I'll get rid of Growth Spiral, why not? I do appreciate that I got a Counterspell, then got Growth Spiral, and got rid of Counterspell for Growth Spiral, and then got rid of Growth Spiral for a Counterspell. These Key to the Archives have definitely just absolutely pulled their weight. Luckily for me, Shaper Sanctuary doesn't draw them a card when I target their Planeswalkers. It's not the world's best ultimate, but it's not, like, useless either. It's just not great. But, like most Planeswalkers, it's not really about the ultimate generally. It's about how the other 2 abilities operate on curve. Doesn't win the game by itself. It goes a long way towards winning the game. But yeah, it's probably not super fun if 4-mana Planeswalkers win the game on their own. He says, trying very hard not to look at his Chandra that's almost threatening to ultimate to win the game instantly on its own. Okay, Unholy Heat. That's more things to do things. Let's uptick Chandra, see if we can get some cards. We hit a Flame Blessed Bolt. Will I cast Flame Blessed Bolt? Yes. Targeting a Ajani. Yes. Then we're gonna return. Oh, we're done. Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we probably were already done. Hey! We made it into the numbers! with this deck. Yeah, okay. That's kind of surprising.